Greetings, family, and welcome to a very, very, very special edition of Pass It On, and we are calling Pass It On After the Word. It's a conversation with some of the Pass It On members to really talk about the whirlwind of 2020, to talk about the future of Pass It On in 2021 and beyond, and also just check in with these folks and family to make sure everything is cool in the world of COVID, in the world of social injustice, in the world of, goddamn it, 2020 is killing us. I'm joined today, of course, by two of my friends and poet accomplices and activists and all good things that gives good vibes and good joy and also good attention to the things that we need to give attention to. Of course, the phenomenally talented, that won 10,000 slams 10,000 times, give it up one time for the incomparable Miss Shakondria Icon Sibley is with us. Greetings, sis. How are you?
Yeah.
Good.
All
You
right.
here?
I'm here. You know what I'm saying? I'm here. And my dear brother, also filmmaker, poet, artist. He'll do it all and he'll do it well. Brother Keon G Perspectives Smith.
I feel like we should change G name to G doing it well Smith. Then.
Listen, I was joking with our other brother Lionel about his name change that I created a few years back. I didn't realize that I had coined such introductions for people that it lasts forever.
What's Asai's new name?
Well, no, the old name.
The old name.
The old name.
Oh, you gave him that old name.
Yeah, that he been trying to escape since.
But he can't.
He cannot. So how you doing, Brother G? How's everything?
Man, doing all right. It's December, and if you told me this time in March that we'd be here and I'd have my people with me for the most part. I mean, we definitely lost some people along the way, but a good amount of people that I was concerned about are still here and doing well, and so I'm doing well.
Yeah. Happy to hear. Icon, same question, man. How are you doing in this world of 2020?
I don't even know if I think most people have kind of the same answer. Still here, still trying to create and love and maintain peace and sanity and health in spite of yeah, trying to be of the situation but not in it.
Understood. So for folks who may not, who've been living under a rock for the past 10, 12 years, who may not be familiar with the phenomenon that is passing on, G, why don't you give us just a little elevator pitch on the history and, just the overall aspect of what Passing On was and what it has become.
Pass It On is an open mic space that features music, poetry, and visual art. We encourage all kinds of expression. It was born just out of an idea between myself, Ayo, Alphonse, who couldn't make it, and then our brother Mark Lundberg, who transitioned, just to create an opportunity for us to do the things we enjoyed in an environment that we enjoyed with people we enjoyed, and then welcome people who were like-minded in those desires to that space. And I don't know that we necessarily envisioned what it would become. I don't know that we thought about having the foresight to think, oh, it's going to be X, Y, and Z in 12 years. It's still going to be around in 12 years. I don't know that we put that much towards, where it was going. But I think that we're definitely all proud to say that it's still to this day embodies our principles, our virtues, and bears the one of the most important sentiments from Ayo's dad, John Scott, of passing it on, and the tradition of just being able to give your gifts to the next person, or share your gifts with the next person, so that they can be gifted and move forward, and all of us are better for it. And I think that that Pass It On has been serving that bottom line all along the way. And so now, when we have additions like Brittany, Malik, Chris Styles coming in, and of course our partnership with Ashe, so Wood, and then Khan becoming a very integral part of the run of show, what what we stand for. And you know, it's a big family, and I'm thankful that you know, that everybody who really found something in it also wanted to you know, appreciate it and be a part of it, and that's where we all are today. It's us. So thank y'all for, you know, for coming with us.
That's all right. Kind of talk about, you know, your first impressions of Pass It On when you first came around, and then also how you kind of got into the mix of being part of the family, as G said.
Oh man, yeah, and I think to add on, G did a lovely elevator pitch. Whatever you selling, I'm buying. As far as Pass It On, yeah, Pass It On is more than an open mic, and I think I felt that from the first time I walked into the doors when Pass It On was originally at Red Star Gallery on Bayou Road on the notorious, infamous, historical Bayou Road. That little space just had packed so much heart and so much spirit in it, and on any given Saturday, you see people just lined up outside in the window, just trying to peep in. And I know my first experience going in, I didn't even know what I was going to. I just knew there was a quote unquote open mic that was at an art gallery. And I knew a few people who were a part of it. And then after that, it was like every Saturday. It was like what True Brew and all that used to be, you know, back in the day. This is my spot every Saturday. Till it eventually became my home, and then also became the home to me and my cohorts with Team Snow. And so
No, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
wait.
knew, I knew from the first time walking in here, like, this is a place or a space that I need to be. And even though we changed physical buildings, the energy and the vibe continued to maintain, you know, be the same and still be as welcoming and as cultivating and as everything, all those things that you mentioned, family, art, music, fun. We've seen so much and experienced so much together just in that space. And so many people have passed through those doors. Just like, you know, we have tales of people walking into the doors at a True Brew or at a up close and personal who now are doing major things. So many people have walked through those doors and have performed on the Pass It On, not stage, but, you know, the soapbox. And even the idea of having a soapbox instead of a stage, you know, I feel like sets Pass It On apart from a lot of other open mics because it's just raw. You know what I mean? Like, this is you stand on this soapbox, you drop your 2 cents in the bucket and let us hear what you have. We had conversations that were a part of the whole thing. So it was more than an open mic again. It was just a space for like Black creativity. I don't even say Black excellence because Black is excellence. So you don't have to put those two things together, you know. It was just a beautiful space, and not even just Blackness, but welcoming space for everybody who walked in the doors. So
Yeah, G, man, talk about, you know, what the whole idea of dropping the 2 cent in the bucket, man. Who came up with that piece, and where did that piece come from, bro?
I'm gonna take credit for that one.
Ah.
Like, you know, but I honestly, I was trying to think, and you know, I'm glad Khan mentioned Pizzazz and True Brew, and you know, and I'm gonna mention obviously Dreams, and what was the name of that Spoken Soul Sessions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, because those were spaces that inspired me. Of the group of the four of us, I was the one who was in the poetry world. We knew we wanted something well-rounded. We knew we wanted an event that, you know, would be inviting and encouraging people to like share. And you know, I was like the poetry, you know, version of our little Voltron. And so you know, so my inspirations came directly from all the things that had influenced me. True Brew, you know, that I was going to just as a spectator, not even somebody who was writing spoken word, and being able to see like not just the poetry, not just the performance, but also the nuance of it, like, you know, like the soul break, you know, just like little things that really added an identity, and just kind of like a, you know, like something that you could identify with. And so, you know, that was the thinking and curating Pass It On was just like, how can we, you know, have something that just like identifies us and what we stand for. And, you know, the 2 cents in the bucket, I mean, ultimately it is like a play on giving your 2 cents, but it is also, you know, as kind of alluded to, like, you know, the purpose of it is to acknowledge like your gift and your expression, and, you know, and own yourself in your most rawest, most, you know, relatable form. Like, you know, you're only a half a foot higher than everybody, and you're only 2 feet away from everybody because we all packed into this little small space. But, you know, like, you know, it's still, it's your time to like, to give us what, you know, what you think we need to pass on. And so, you know, the 2 cents in the bucket just seemed like nice little segue into into that mode. So
Come through, Brandon. All right, we see. Man, no, that's all phenomenal. I mean, my memories of passing on are many. Of course, I remember Sister Ginger being being sort of the the bulldog in the yard, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? The pit bull in that yard.
look,
Don't let
shout out
off the leash.
shout out to Tina and Dwayne Bernal. They like they gave us that space. It was only like maybe about 2 years that we were at Bayou Road. We never had to pay rent in that space. We didn't have to pay no light bills, nothing.
Right.
It was like y'all go in. We didn't even have to ask them to open the doors for us. We had a key. We could go. We hosted other events in there.
Yeah, crawfish boils there.
They would just their goal on their side, they wanted a space that could embody like the things that they wanted to see in the community, even if they didn't have the time or energy to cultivate it themselves, participating in it every time. But Dwayne would drop through every third show, just come through with like a friend, like, yeah, we're going to my spot right quick. They do a little thing over there. And he walk in with his people and they got 80 people all looking at Khan like this, and they like, oh, what is this? So it was a good synergy for everybody. But yeah, definitely shout out to the Bernals for that love.
Yeah, man. I was always. I mean, G and I go back far. Gina, I'm talking about, right? Ginger, right? Go back real far, and her being a spoken word artist and hip hop artist was always such a great space to see that space become this organic, transference of energy. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all, like both of y'all alluded to, like it was really a different sort of vibe when you got in there, and it was real family oriented, probably because that space was owned by a family that kind of had the same values that the show had. So it was always appreciative of them, and so I'm glad you shout them out, man. So fast forward to this year, right? So passing on the partnership with Ashe, I think it's been a couple of maybe 2 years now or so, or give or take, and the first Fridays really got to be a real, I think, success story in the event that now Ashe is actually in the leadership by two poets. You know what I'm saying? So we definitely was always and actually always was, because Mama Karen, her writer, is also a phenomenal writer and poet as well. So always had a spot, and she would always be like, when y'all bringing the poetry to Ashe, so we would have these shows intermittently here and there. But I think my real first idea about having Pass It On at Ashe was when we celebrated Peach's passing, right? And we had that show that kind of took forward as like this show of just appreciating her as an artist and appreciating her relationship with all of us and our relationship with Ashe. And that's when I think we had it in the front room, and we was like, like this could really be home, for Pass It On, because it just felt right. You know what I'm saying? So many poets had come through Ashe. Ashe was like for a lot of folks, Ashe was like the first place that paid you, you know what I'm saying, to do poetry, that would actually give you a check for doing some art, so it felt good. And I think the first Fridays was really starting to work out, and then we fast forward to 2020, as we were talking about right before we started recording. Probably had two live shows this year. I guess a Black History show, and then we did the show, I think that was centered around LGBTQ plus energy in March, which kind of celebrated women as well. So, talk a little bit about, those first shows of 2020, and looking back, could you even imagine us being in this space now?
You want to take this one?
I guess I'll speak, because I think I hosted the last show. I definitely didn't think that was going to be our last time, in that space. I don't want to even compare it to, because I wasn't there that night of True Brew before the storm. I had to work that night, but it felt, if I could compare it to something, that's the closest thing I could think of. It was like, we were used to every first Friday being in that spot, and we all rapped and had a great time and kicked it in the parking lot, and left and went on our way. And we didn't know that like a week or two later, everything was going to be shut down. And so I think it also, as if we didn't already appreciate and and cherish like that time that we had together every time we were together physically. I think even more so, you know, it did that for us. And so when the virtual shows started, it was something that was really needed as well. Like I look forward to being in my living room, you know, especially the first few shows, because during that time it was like everything was really, you know, you needed something, some kind of outlet. Because a lot of people, we didn't know what this thing was. We didn't know what Corona was,
We was
you know,
outside of our house. Like we were like, you could
right.
pick it up for anything, right?
Yeah.
So we were like quarantine.
Quarantine. So to put your little, you know, hat on, or your little shirt, your little t-shirt, your little lipstick or whatever, and sit in front of the camera and sip your wine with your people or whatever else you indulge in, you know, was just a good time. You know, like G said earlier, with Chris being on board now DJing and, you know, having a little house party at home. But we definitely miss, you know, that space and miss being at our Shea and being physically around each other. Even the team, like we don't get together. And for those who don't know, there's a small team of people that I'm thankful I was able to be brought on board who actually make Pass It On work. When we see shows, we don't think about the production or the curation and the things that go behind it. People just think pick up a flyer and ask some poets if they want to come get on the mic. And some shows are like that, you know, but then even the shows that are like that, you know, you got a host who has to make sure that there's, you know, timing and who's going where. And there's so much that goes into it. And then a show like Pass It On that's actually partially curated, partially open mic. There's a lot of pre-work that goes into it. We had to learn how to produce and how production works, you know, in the virtual world, as opposed to physically going hang up art and physically, you know, having poets come in and physically making space for people. And so it's just been, I will call it an opportunity, you know, as unfortunate as it has been. And as much as we look forward to being back together again, I think we've learned a lot about ourselves and grown a lot through this whole process. That's gonna make us even more bomb, you know, in-person curators. Like if we can do this virtually and have it still be a vibe, just imagine when we get back around each other. Like we have so many ideas and things that we've already talked about and discussed, and we just praying that you know, we ain't got to take this vaccine for things to calm down.
That's a good point, dude. I mean, G, you know, as a filmmaker, you know, how is this shift to the virtual space, like, has it brought up like different curatory things for you? Because now we kind of in your world of being on the screen, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. And also, you know, it really makes you think about what do you need to do as a curator of creativity, art, and culture to bring it into like whatever the next phase is. And I think we're starting to kind of get an idea of what our collective worldwide next phase is, and how, you know, how many opportunities, as Khan said, are available, and how we need to be better at, you know, being able to express ourselves in all of those mediums. So, you know, as a filmmaker, it's definitely a little bit of an advantage to have like a little technological understanding of what's going on. But there were things that I never considered that I would have to learn. You know, like Zoom. Like, you know, you could have, if you'd have said the word Zoom to me this time last year, I'd have been like, Zoom, Zoom, Zoom. Like, what you do? But,
We can talk about Lionel Richie and the Commodores.
you know, and so now it's like, now, you know, you got to integrate, you know what I'm saying? Like Khan says, we have ideas, but all of our ideas involve a virtual aspect now. Like we definitely are giving thought to how we're going to make ourselves available to those of us who went into quarantine and were like, I'm never coming out. This is where I want to be all along. You know, those people still want content. They still want fellowship, and there's a way to do that now. And, you know, again, opportunity. I think we've all become better at making ourselves, you know, more accessible in this virtual world. So, you know, that's gonna be a benefit to us.
Yeah, I'm also interested in, like, you know, just talking about creativity. I mean, all of us are artists on this call, and, you know, for some folks, I know 2020 was like, oh, I always needed time to sit down and create. And then for other folks, it was like, I can't create in this moment of, you know, turmoil and inner stress and all this kind of stuff. So both of you as artists, how is it kind of shifted? Because you like, oh, we need to put on a show, but damn, like I just want to pull a blanket up over my head, you know what I'm saying, and try to make it through. So how have y'all been dealing with, like, you know, those kind of competing forces?
Look, we had, go ahead, G. I was gonna say we've had those moments as a team sometimes where we like, you know, we need a little break.
Right.
And not because it's like the work is so tiring, but I think because everybody was dealing with so much stuff that we had never dealt with before, personally. People trying to figure out if they're gonna go back to work or not, or what they're gonna do with the kids with school, and then trying to plan pass it on, or then trying to still create as well. And so yeah, we've had those times where we had to take a breather collectively. Individually, I don't know, I'll let G speak on his experience.
And to your point, Con, in all of those
I'll fix my plant
situations,
that fell.
in those situations where where we had those moments, where we had to like consider and put our our mental first and stuff like that, I think we were also in consideration of the show. Like, we got a date set, we got things that are locked in, things that aren't locked in, but are we going to be able to put our heart into this? Are we going to be able to do the best thing that we can? And then, because that's is going to be ingrained in there some kind of way. Like, people will receive what we give. And if we're not giving the best of ourselves, and it's like, maybe we need a break. Like maybe we just need to like not have an August show. I can't remember what, I think it was August that we were like,
I think it was, yeah.
we're gonna just go ahead fast forward to September. We good. But yeah, and to Wood's point earlier, you see all these memes and stuff. One meme will say, if you're not doing X, Y, and Z right now, you're wasting your time. The other meme will say, don't let nobody tell you need to be doing X, Y, and Z right now. And I mean, like Wood say, it's for you. How do you feel about this time? Do you need to go hide under the covers? Do you need to, express yourself? For me, it was a space that opportunity, and I definitely appreciated like being in a space where I didn't have distractions, and it was like the creativity was like at the forefront because I couldn't go experience live music like I wanted to, and I couldn't get fulfilled from the things about New Orleans that I love. And it was like, okay, well, let me, in my mind, create something that I love. And so it was, for me, it was therapeutic to be creative in this space. But then, there were definitely moments where I was like, nah, I ain't doing nothing today. About to go pull out this Corona and then just call it a day.
The beer, folks, the beer.
Oh, wait.
No, it's all right. I got you. I got you back. It's all right. Shout out to brother Ayura. Talking about Coronas.
Right, Corona Kid.
That we sipping on it.
Corona Kid. But yeah, that whole point too about needing to take a break so we don't put out, I won't say half-ass content. People are so accustomed to the level of greatness that Pass It On always tries to hold ourselves to. And so, because we've had shows like, look, we've had PJ Morton roll through. During this virtual time, we had Tank from Tank Bangers. We've had Talam Acey. We've had some Sonny Patterson. Wood and popped up on there for, a little cameo in between sipping his cognac and writing his grants or whatever he's working on. So we've had some names and some faces and some people, not even just the names and the faces, but some immense talent, because when they come, they don't just say, oh, this is Pass It On, and like, I'm just going to give you whatever. Like, people always feel the need to give fully of themselves when they come into the space of Pass It On. And so, yeah, like you were saying, G, we need to take a break. We take a break when we need to take a break. We come back when we come back, and people always are, they're waiting, thankfully, because they need it usually just as much as we do. And so, yeah, it's good to be able to take that time off as well. And for everybody to know that that's okay, like you said, to take the time off. We don't have to be in a constant, perpetual state of cranking out things. Like, we're already overwhelmed with content and whatever. Like, sometimes you might need to sit a little bit and be inspired and then come back and, share.
Word. I think, a couple of things that were really impressive to me was, of course, this moment provided an opportunity for Pass It On and other platforms to stretch. And yeah, you have folks from the Netherlands and folks from all over that was joining the Pass It On, which is really cool. And then to the point that we're talking about, I think the last Pass It On was focused on like mental health, right? Which was like so major in a moment that we were having for you all to be thinking about programming. And that's the other thing that's always been great about Pass It On. The programming wasn't just about the poetry or just about the art. It was also always multi-layered into, aspects of the person as well. So I really could really appreciate that. I was really impressed by that.
Yeah, shout out to Brittany
on that, because, and she, Brittany definitely like comes with like the curation ideas that are very community centered and very like very other people oriented.
Mhm.
Yeah, shout out to B Lens on that.
That's
Yeah,
all
really
right.
did that one. We had yoga, meditation,
Oh,
uh,
that meditation. Yeah,
that meditation come through Cali. But yeah, that was yeah.
It's
I'm
funny because
thankful.
look, I was at a I was so I'm, I was on a panel for a conference, and I think this might have been, I don't want to put the people out there, but I was on a panel for a conference, and of course it was on Zoom, and then when we took our break, it wasn't really a break. They sent you to break out rooms, and in one room it was like a sound bath, and one room was meditation, and one room was this. And originally when I first read it, I was like, "Oh, this might be cool." But then when it actually was happening, I was like, "Well, this is supposed to be my damn break. Like I'm supposed to be, y'all gonna make me stay on the call for my break."
Oh,
Uh,
really great.
what I'm saying? I'm like, for my break, I want to turn my camera off and go do what I got to do. I might need a biology moment. I might need what have you.
use the
Uh,
bad.
Biology mom.
You know what I'm saying? I might need to go, relieve myself is what I'm saying. I kind of, but what I can really appreciate about this is that, you all had it set up to where we expected to be in that space. And then when we got in the space, like you said, the meditation part was just like, oh, okay, like this is like, yeah. Cause I never really understood folks who do the apps and, the meditation. I'm like, you gonna do a meditation app. But if that was the app, I could see myself like turning that on and be like, oh, all right. I got a moment to
We get
chill.
15 minutes of meditation right quick.
Al in the background on his little, little wood flute. Yeah, hitting that. I was like, oh, this is all right. So yeah, shout out to B. Liz, man, because that was an excellent idea, especially like I said, in the moment that we're in. I want to shift a little bit and talk about. Well, Apollo is here.
Then
Shift
you
a
had a
little bit.
dog, yeah.
Yeah, Shift a little
Well,
bit
the
and just
Kingston
talk
got the
about.
dog. Let me.
Listen, it's not my dog. you know, I was just look, yeah. Um, no, but shift a little bit and talk about, as far as ideas for 2021. I mean, like what, granted, we all hope and pray that they'll be throwing vaccines from the Mardi Gras floats, and you can catch one that you believe in and go on, take care of yourself. Some people might be like Tuskegee, but um, hopefully, I don't know when we might say, April, May, June, whenever, that we may be able to be back in Congress, or, and I hope that, you all are also thinking about just keeping the possible virtual aspect, even when we do get back together, so we can still share with those folks that's on the continents, different continents and all that. But, talk a little bit about what the ideas are, for the next iteration. Passing on.
Gee, I'm gonna let you run the what you call them. I wanted to introduce in light of that or before that what we plan on doing. We've also been thankful for the partnerships we've been able to have. Even Ashe, we've been, man, so many people have been so generous to financially fund or give space to, or a platform, or Zoom, platforms. So some of those people like One Book, One New Orleans. Poets and Writers, of course, has been in the mix a few times.
Oh, yeah, this is brought to you by Poets and
This
Writers.
is about
Thank you, poets and writers. Thank you, Kevin
we're partnering with Suno coming up with their Lift Every Voice grant that they were awarded thanks to soon to be Dr. Erica Witt. Who else? G is. I'm gonna let him, because he's the money man. This is our not just a screenwriter, but one of our main fundraisers, grant writers, whatever.
Jeremy. Jasmine Heritage Foundation came through. They gave us some money for the Ellis Marcellus tribute that we did in April virtually, when we had PJ and Tank, and in a really great musical show, Sasha Maskowski and John Michael Bradford, Jesse McBride, and dang, it was somebody else.
Yeah, Elliot Love.
Oh, Elliot and Theo. Yeah, they did a little. But that show was sponsored by Jasmine Heritage Foundation, who just gave money on the fly. Like I just hit them up and I was like, hey, we doing a show in tribute. We got some artists that they're not gigging right now, and Jasmine Heritage was like, ding, with the on switch, like perfect. So and then we were able to get the Cultural Arts and Equity Grant. So we have a little change moving forward into 2021 that we'll be
Y'all
putting.
have, I'm sorry, G, did y'all have Key Slaughter and wasn't Pal on that show too?
Yeah. Oh, Pell, I was dropping them beats. He had
Pal, that was nice.
Yeah, yeah. It was, man. That's we forgot how many like just cold
Dope
things.
shows, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So this coming up year, the first kind of really major thing that we're thinking about putting on. I think we're all kind of in agreement that we're trying to build out Pass It On Fest and just have like a day of celebration that is in alignment with the kind of programming that we're used to. So we're we have some tentative things that are already set up, but then the things that we definitely have locked in, we're gonna have a conversation with Khan about her book release. And yeah, so we finally get in this manuscript. I get to finally get these words and like really dissect them, like look at each and every word, try to pick out her rhyme scheme, be like, how do I make myself more like Khan?
Listen, me too, G. So I can start on this one woman show. Start all the blocking and whatever for this one woman show that we're gonna do too.
Come
Oh,
on.
we're doing theater too? Come on.
All the things.
Powerhouse. Yeah.
Oh yes. I'm waiting on the book too. I've been waiting on it too.
Uh-huh.
That's been that COVID hold up.
Right.
But some days you'll be like, I feel like editing. Some days I don't.
But the Pass It On Fest, man, that's a super interesting idea. And Alphonse and I had spoken, a while back. This is when he was, of course, with the Arts Council about, doing like these public art festivals in partnership with the Arts Council. But we would partner like a visual artist or sculptor or whatever those public art pieces may be with a writer. So this really sparked my interest that we could really do something, major.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And and ideally it would be something that would be like an annual thing, like maybe just like a one-day block party type thing. I mean, New Orleans people love a festival, and right now all of our festivals are really music and food centered, as they should be, because we do those things well. But there definitely is an opportunity for space for Black creatives and all of our many talents to to have just like a day to lock down and open up to the community. Hey, come in and really like vibe with us, and we'll bring it to you on your terms. We know you'll come out for a festival, so we're gonna put a festival on for you and show you what we do all year round. So
yeah. I share that, man. I'm so enamored with the idea of Pass It On. As somebody who produced several open mic sets for many moons. I'm always still like taken aback by folks who take the time to put all this stuff together, because like Khan mentioned, the aforementioned production stuff that has to go into it, because I know all of us has been there when you got to plug in the sound, you got to set up every chair, you got to sweep the floor, what I'm saying, pick up all the trash after it's done. And that's why I'm always a trip that we've gotten to the point now where we're in a space like our shade. And even at the end of the show, y'all be like, should we pick up the chairs? I'll be like, no, we got facilities people that take care of that now. Can y'all imagine? We used to have to put out every chair and pick up every cup and all that kind of stuff. So, man, so I'm truly appreciative of the I don't even want to say like the torch that you all have taken, but kind of sort of y'all have like taken the torch for spoken word and creative writing and creative production in our community. Y'all have taken that to the new landscape and to the new community. We always talk about pre-K, post-K poetry world, but Pass It On kind of was that bridge between those two spaces, because there was a lot of folks who were part of that pre-K world that wound up at Pass It On, and a Team Snow could come out of Pass It On, because Pass It On kind of was the bridge towards the future. So, with that said, I want to ask y'all what y'all think about the future of spoken word in the city of New Orleans, and where you would like to see it through the partnership of Pass It On and all the collaborations and stuff that y'all could possibly bring about.
I know me and G had talked about briefly before, or what we talked about before, how Pass It On, the whole idea, because initially G and Bobby were the main hosts, right? The regular hosts of Pass It On all the time. And then we had a bunch of high school students that used to come out and participate. Two that I just remember mainly that would come every Saturday. I'd be like, what is y'all curfew? Why y'all out here spitting poems? But they would get on stage and kill it with the adults. You had Raheem, right? And John James, who I think both of them were at Cohen at the time. I know for sure
Yeah.
John.
Shout out to Miss
Cohen,
Murphy, brought her students through.
right. Yep. Brought them through, and they were coming every Saturday. And so now John is a grown man with a baby on the way and a house and a this and that and a career, and he's now the host. And so just even in this little time period of pass it on, seeing that cyclical, you know, literal passing it on. And I think with the plans that we talked about in 2021 of incorporating more of the collegiate students into the fold, because I think we haven't really reached out to the college students like how we could or as much as we could, because, you know, conquering each demographic at a time is, you know, its own thing. But definitely those partnerships with Suno and Xavier and Dillard and bringing some of those poets and those students on, because they have poets that probably don't even know that there's an open mic that exists that they can come to. And so we want to reach out to them. And I'm also praying, I know I was in, I guess, No Yam was kind of in my hands in New Orleans Youth Open Mic. And because of COVID, we didn't get to fully do all the programming and outreach and, you know, gather as many students as possible. But I'm hoping that in 2021, we can also let it go all the way down to those young people that come out to No Yam and see how we can incorporate all of that into Pass It On eventually, whether that be in person or virtual. Gee, I'll let you, you know, elaborate.
You said it all, kind of.
So yeah, that's the focus is exactly what Pass It On stands for. It's like making sure, because there's gonna come a time when, you know, Gion is gonna be making feature films that are, you know, he's gonna be in Hollywood rubbing elbows with the peoples. It might not be at Pass It On all the time, or, you know,
I'm making.
I might be somewhere accepting my Pulitzer for a poetry prize. It might not be there all the time. So we definitely not even when we are there, but making sure that it keeps going, because I think that's where it falls, is when you don't have the next generation of people that know how to host shows. I do say give a lot of props to when Asia Rainey had the kids from Noise back in the day. They used to do their own shows where they hosted it, ran the door, DJ, made their own flyers and all of that, so that they could see, you know, when the next generation gets older. Because we saw that kind of with the last generation of poets that, you know, everybody got married, start having kids, you don't come out as much as you used to. You're not able to commit as much to producing the show. And so we just need to have it be a fluid motion where that next generation is coming in, because a lot of other cities, you know, have kind of patented that and done it well. And I think New Orleans is doing it well, but we could do it a whole lot better than what we've been doing it. And so I think the plan for 2021 Pass It On is to continue that and grow on that legacy of making sure we have people in place, so that when Bobby and G can't host all the time, now you got a John James, and then John gonna have a kid and he might not be able to host all the time. Like, who's the next generation coming after him who can keep it going?
Yeah.
That's all right, man. Well said. Well, I thank you folks for this little, maybe not the first time we could do a iteration of After the Word. You know, because of course, I enjoy talking to y'all on the regular, but also to get more in depth into the actual meat of what Passing On is, and, you know, to delve into you both as artists and culture bearers and creatives. It's always a pleasure to sit down and talk to you. This conversation was brought to you by Poets and Writers, and also shout out to the Ashe Cultural Law Center for all their assistance, and of course, give thanks to all the rest of the Pass It On crew for all their support and creativity and just general, you know, goodness of heart and soul and creativity that comes out of those folks, man. So this has been After the Word, a conversation.
Hold on, before you close it out, can I shout out Woodrick, as I like to call him, Woodrick Della Hussein.
Thank you. Thank you.
For being so supportive, even in this virtual, you know, situation, because sometimes people don't take the virtual shows as seriously or think that, you know, follow up is needed or whatever. But Wood would always check in, like, what y'all got planned, what we gonna do, and then also parallel promote, you know, with Ashe or whatever with us, or ask if we needed assistance or see if we needed funding. And so we're just grateful that even though you might not always be on stage spitting poems as much anymore, that your heart and your dedication is still in making sure that this art form continues to live, thrive, and give life in the city of New Orleans and beyond. you
No
know.
doubt, no doubt. Thank you for that, sis. No, in my mind and in my purview as the creative director for our Shea Cultural Law Center, passing on is one of our programs. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not a separate thing that y'all do. I mean, it is a separate thing that y'all do, but for my wherewithal as the artistic director, it's like, oh yeah, we do this too. And
Hmm.
a spoken word show called Passing On. So when I'm talking to funders, when I'm talking to, all these different folks, I'm listing Passing On right up there with the MAFAs and everything else that we take for. I can happily report that we are actually just also applied for a Black Seed grant, which is a Black theater grant, and we will be receiving 150,000 for 2 years for Black theater work. And I also consider Passing On a kind of be of that purview as well, because I think G and I have talked about a spoken word opera and things of that nature in the past. So we definitely can, put our thinking caps on and start to develop those kind of works, talking about icons, one woman show, and expanding the capacity of spoken word artists to not just be writers, but to also be real carriers of culture and increase their capacity around theater and, like you say, tech and all those type of things. So, one of the things that really got me excited about spoken word was that I would always go to the show and could never really get what I wanted on the stage. So I was like, okay, the sound man can't make me sound how I want, so let me learn how to do sound. You know what I mean? And we kind of had that wherewithal to do those type of things, and now we can provide that for, like you say, those next generation folks. So I don't mind teaching a sound engineering class and doing that kind of stuff to be able to add capacity to these artists that, the next time a G is having a film, he might need a grip, and we might be able to call on one of these poets to be a grip or a PA or something of that nature because they've learned it through a program that Passing On and Ashe was able to put on. So yeah, so I'm always appreciative of us growing as artists. What I can say about this pandemic is, when you're in the uncomfortable sometimes causes growth. You know what I'm saying? I think that we've had to think outside the box and make some adjustments, and it's really been, not the optimal way we would want to make these adjustments, but adjustments had to be made regardless. So yeah, I'm about to sign it off, but of course, being as though that both of y'all are poets, if anybody would like to drop something as we get out of here.
I'm gonna go first because we need to end with Khan.
Okay.
We always gotta,
Ooh,
we
we're
always
not
gotta finish.
under the rule.
We're gonna make sure we leave a good taste in their mouth. So I'm gonna get out the way. Once again, shout out to the whole crew. Thank you, everybody. I don't know if I mentioned young Baba Leak. I don't know if I mentioned him on this conversation, but shout out
today.
Yeah. all the people with Pass It On, appreciate y'all, and then all the people who come and fellowship with us and make it what it is. Thank you guys for another year, and looking forward to 2021. So I'm gonna do this piece right quick. I was looking, luckily I'm on my computer, so I had all of my poems at my disposal, and I started looking through them because, much like all of you other artists understand very well, I get tired of hearing myself say my old poems. So I was looking for something that I hadn't read in a while or something, and I came across this poem, and honestly, I'm not even sure if I wrote this. but it's in a doc in my thing that says poems with all of the rest of my poems. So if there's somebody intellectual property, you better come get it from me because it's about to be mine. No, I really do think it's mine,
Wow.
but I really just don't remember writing it. But I'm like, okay, all right. So this is the Crescent City. City by the water, city of the bywater, the Marigny, Treme and the Quarter, city of flood water, and water we learn to navigate to push forward. City of practice and city of faith, city of saints. Some call home the cathedral and some call home the dome. A city called home, city calling us home, city with calls and chants and dance, city still bearing the chants of the natives, city of the first masking Indians, city of the original man, city of babies. Some babies from the hulls of ships and some babies from king cakes. City of king cakes and snowballs and pralines or plyrines, city of too much, city of excess, city of NO, being heard as a resounding yes. Hot city, 400 degrees hot, the heat and the music and the juveniles of the city, feeding those who come to our city to feed their souls, feeding from the soul of the city, the skilled laborers forced and paid. Upon those backs, the city's streets were paved, or sometimes not. 300 years of our music being made. Our city, the key to the Mississippi, opening the mouth to the new land. The city that made America great, our great city of New Orleans. That's it.
Mary Cantrell, what a commercial at for the
Look at
New
Con looking like a proud aunt.
Tourism Bureau.
Con made that proud auntie face.
Pelicans, all of them.
Gee, that better be yours. I like that.
I like it too. I was like, oh, all right. I'm gonna do some revisions, some edits, try to memorize this. Hold up.
Oh, city of 400 degrees, huh? All right. Well, since the unspoken rule is Con got to go last, I'm gonna do, if I can get to my, oh Lord, I don't know how to work the Zoom. There we go. I'm gonna do this poem in honor of passing it on, and also of the holidays. My grandmother, one of my grandmothers, as some of you know, is no longer with us, and so this was a poem that I wrote in remembrance of her. So, mother, matriarch, maker of bomb-ass biscuits and cakes, a little bit of butter and a whole lot of love being her most important ingredients. But never was it a secret, because we all knew what grandma put in that food, even if we ain't know the exact recipe. Could already taste it long before our mouths ever knew full. Always left her house with hearts and bellies to match. And she would always say, now grandma ain't got much, not realizing that what she had to give was more than our stomachs or our hands could ever hold. She held a special place in her heart for each and every one of us. So I'd like to believe that each time she stumbled over our names, Shalonda, Shakandra, Tawana, girl, you know who I'm talking to. That was only because she had all of us on her mind. Her mouth wrapped like a hug around each of our names in her prayers. Placed an open Bible in each room of her house to show that she served more than just warm meals and sweet words, or sharp ones if you cause any confusion, because as for my grandma and her house, the Lord always had a seat at the head of the table. And for as long as I could remember, she and the rest of her disciples would gather around on Thanksgiving Eve, one stirring the pies, one cleaning the greens, one peeling potatoes, one shelling the peas, all of them swapping smiles and ooh, childs, and the kind of deep-bellied laughter that only grandmamas and mamas and aunties know how to reach deep down and give birth to. And every year, this became tradition, became engraved in all of our minds and tongues like scripture, and faithfully we would recite it like, for in my grandmama's house there are many memories. If it were not so, I wouldn't have told you about all the random mornings when she would call and invite us all over because she had a sudden urge to make biscuits from scratch, scrambled eggs and pan sausage, and of course it wouldn't be right without the Steen's cane syrup, pineapple upside down jelly, tea, and pound cakes. My grandma had wrist work to whip the rough side of any batter into a smooth and creamy calm. My grandma had blessed palms that for decades nursed her family and a city full of folk back to health. And Rapides General Hospital ain't never had an angel walking its wings since, never been afraid to fly. Would hop on a boat or a plane or gas up that blue Buick Skylark or that tan Chevrolet Impala and hit I-49 North headed for Shreveport faster than you could spell Natchitoches. Wingspan wide like the doors of Second Evergreen Baptist Church or that little brown house on Baldwin Street. Nurse, usher, Sunday school teacher, believer, bearer of the best popcorn balls, sweet honeybee gathering with other queens on the porch or at the church, or piling together in somebody's car, thick as hives, dripping trails of thick laughter down roads and highways, spreading love like pollen, her bed a field of flowers whenever any or all of us came buzzing around. So, oh, give thanks for the California King mattress and our Hannah, Louisiana Queen Majesty, master of making us wonder how one woman could be so many things. Mother of Ronnie, Cynthia, Elaine, Stephen, Janice, Jeffrey, Michael, and too many to name, came and carried us all safely in her arms and then returned to the ones that brought her to us. But my grandma's hands, they clapped in church on Sunday morning. My grandma's hands would help heal the sick so well. My grandma, she used to issue out words of comfort. She'd say, things may not be the same, but put your faith in Jesus' name. I promise you'll see me again, grandma's hand.
Ooh, ashe, ashe, ashe. Goodness. Thank y'all so much for that. Family, sister, brother, good Lord. I feel better about myself just listening to y'all words, man. Um, yeah, so as we, as we close out, man, again, this event was sponsored in part by Poets and Writers, thanks to a grant from the Hearst Foundation, also the Ashe Cultural Law Center, and of course, Pass It On and the whole Pass It On family. It's a holiday season, so I of course give thanks for the laughter and the light and the gift of both of you all in my existence and in the existence of our community. And man, thank y'all so much for joining me today. I appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Jeezy.
Yeah, love you, Con. Love you, Wood.
Love you too. Love both of y'all.
Thank y'all.